Hi guys, welcome back to American Text Commentary. Today we have our lesson 4 and we will talking about historical text commentary. So reading about this, we can say this historical text commentary involves the analysis and interpretation of the same. Remember, this commentary is essential for understanding the concept, context, significance, and implication of historical documents. So see and let's talk about an overview of how historical text commentary are typically approached. Start with number one, contextualization. Begin by placing the historical text in the broader historical context. Remember, consider the time period, cultural background, political climate, and any significant events that may have influenced the creation of the text. Number two, authorship and perspective. Investigate the authorship. Remember the previous lesson, lesson 3, we were talking about literature, analysis, commentary, and I told you when you are talking about the author, place, etc., you will be doing an investigation. Well, continue your investigation, but this time in a historical context, right? So we will be always investigating about the author and places. Right, let's continue. Investigate the authorship of the text, understand the background, motivations, and perspective of the author. Of course, we always have to consider factors such as their social status, beliefs, and any biases that may have influenced the content. And speaking about the content, let's go to number 3, content analysis. We have to break down the content of the historical text. Then we have to examine the language, rhetoric, and specific details. So here we have to identify key themes, argument, or narrative presented in the text. Always pay attention to the intended audience and purpose of the document. Let's go to number 4, historical significance. As historical significance of the text, we have to explore how the document fits into the larger historical narrative, determine whether it reflects our challenges, which they could prevalent ideas of the time. So let's continue to number 4. This is speaking about culture and social insights. Basically, we have to extract insights into them or social aspect of this historical period. In other words, we have to collect information about societal norms, values, and challenges. Well, point number 6 is very interesting because talk about comparison and content from that period of time and now. For example, we have to compare the common historical text with other relevant documents from the same period. Of course, we have to highlight similarity, differences, as said before, or connection between multiple sources to gain a more comprehensive understanding. So basically, we have to compare and speak about similarity, differences, even connection between that time and this time. From 9-7, it is talking about Impact and legacy. In this item, we have to examine impact of historical texts in its contemporary audience and subsequent generation. Don't forget to consider how the ideas presented in the text may have influenced events, policies, or public opinion. So number eight, contemporary relevance. It's kind of part of impact and legacy. So they're kind of linked each other. Anyway, we have to discuss contemporary relevance of historic text, exploring whether the themes or lessons from the past are still applicable or have implication for the present. As I said, right now, as item number nine, we have citation and reference. This is important, especially in every text commentary, but especially here, an historical text commentary, because this ensures transparency and allows readers to explore the original text and related materials. All of these are important because historical text commentary play a crucial role in historical scholarship. This offers insight that contribute to the nuanced understanding of the past, of course. But always they help bridge the gap between the words on the page and the broader historical narrative. So how can we do a right analysis? We can do this using the key components. And the key components could be the followings. Number one, we have introduction. Number two, contextualist section. Number three, authorship and background. Four, literary analysis, content analysis, primary source and citation, intertextuality, author into an audience, historical significance, reception and impact, historiographical consideration, critical perspective, conclusion. This is the final step. And don't forget some recommendation for further studies. So they could be very important keys to start doing a historical text commentary. But we have here a step-by-step guide. Step number one, we have to select historical text. Step number two, conduct background research. Step number three, read the text thoroughly. Number four, identify key components. Don't forget the key components. Conclusion, critical perspective, historiographical consideration, every one of those. Authorship and perspective. This is the third time we have this item. Why? Because it's very important to know this, and it's very important to develop this. Because as I told you, maybe I will repeat every time, but it's important to investigate the authors always. Number six, unauthentic notes. The contextualization. This is the third time I mention this because as the key component and on the authorship and perspective, The contextualization is very important to know and develop it. Next step, content analysis, literary analysis. These speak about examining the language, style, rhetorical devices used by the author. Remember, if you don't remember right now what devices are we talking about, don't forget to watch and read lesson number 3. We were talking about the devices we can use in a literature analysis. Number 10, situation of textual evidence. This is using, you will remember like monographies and other projects because in this case we'll be using situation like APA, MLA. 11. Explore intertextuality by considering how historical text engages with or reference other text. This is about intertextuality. Other intended audience. We have to analyze the other intent in creating the document and consider intended audience. Discuss how the other choices in language and content align with the common goals. Historical significance. And finally, conclusion. But we have to add some recommendation for further study, proofread and revise. And now I will show you some example. We have here Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. So select historical text, Gettysburg Address by Abraham Lincoln. Conduct background research. Explore the context of the Gettysburg Address, including the Civil War, the Battle of Gettysburg, and Abraham Lincoln's presence. Read the text thoroughly. Read the Gettysburg Address, focusing in language, structure, and key message. Identify key components: introduction, main body with key points, and a concluding statement. Authorship and perspective. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, delivered the address during the Civil War. Consider his role as a leader and his goal of uniting the nation. Right, so we have here a very good example. To step number 15. So this is a simplified example, but in a full commentary, each step would be expanded and supported with detailed analysis and evidence. When we are talking about history, we need to show some evidence about it because we know that are, let's say that they were events that happened in real life, no fictions. So the goal here is to provide thorough understanding of historical text within its context. Context is always important. Right. I will show you some video speaking about this, and then I will show you a complete playlist that will be very important. So first, let's watch the video.
When studying history, you'll be frequently asked to analyse historical sources. However, many people don't know what this means or how to do it. In this video, I'll explain what source analysis is, give you a step-by-step guide to follow, and show you some examples to help you out. Let's begin. Today we're looking at how to analyse historical sources. Source analysis is one of the most important skills you'll need to develop when studying the past, and mastering it will help you achieve your best possible results. So what is source analysis? Source analysis is the ability to demonstrate a genuine understanding about why a particular historical source was made. It is important to remember that all historical sources were created for a reason. Even though we usually read sources in class to help learn about the past, almost no historical sources were originally made just to be read by students decades or centuries after they were created. Therefore, we use source analysis to discover why a specific historical source came into existence, including who originally made it, who they initially wanted to read it, plus more. Therefore, source analysis involves much more than just reading a historical source. It also requires you to conduct background research to discover who the author was and find out what was happening at the time the source was made. By the way, you are not meant to automatically know all of this information. Most of the time, you'll need to do some research about your source to successfully analyze it. If you need help, online archives and even Wikipedia can be helpful in conducting your background research. To provide a complete analysis of your source, there are 6 specific source analysis skills you need to use. They are information, origin, perspective, context, audience, and motive. An easy way to remember these 6 skills is to use the acronym IOP-CAM. I've actually created individual videos about each of these 6 skills that go into much greater depth about each one. So if you're struggling with a specific skill, you can find the links to each of the additional videos in the description section below. In order to demonstrate a sufficient knowledge of the 6 analysis skills, you need to be able to answer the following 6 questions, one for each skill. Firstly, what information is stated in the source about the historical topic you're studying? Remember, a source can either explicitly state information or implicitly mention something. Secondly, what was the name of the person or people who created the source? Thirdly, from what perspective was the source created? Fourthly, when was the source created and what was happening at this time? Fifth, who was the intended audience of the source? And finally, for what purpose was this source made? Sometimes you may not be able to answer all of these questions, but you want to be able to complete as many as possible. Once you've answered these 6 questions, you are ready to write your full source analysis. So, how do you write a source analysis? A source analysis is usually a short paragraph that demonstrates all of the knowledge that you have discovered about the historical source. A simple source analysis can be written in just 2 sentences using the IOP-CAM acronym from before. In the first sentence, mention the IOP part of the acronym, which is information, origin, and perspective. For example, this source is a personal letter that describes what trench warfare was like during World War I and was written by John Smith, an Australian soldier. In your second sentence, mention the CAM part of the acronym, that is context, audience, and motive. For example, Smith wrote the letter on the 26th of April 1915, the day after the Gallipoli landing, to record his experience of the battle and was to be read by his family in Australia. As you can see, you can demonstrate significant knowledge of a source by writing an analysis paragraph like this. Of course, you can use more than 2 sentences if you need to. Now that you know what source analysis is and how to do it, let's look at a full example to increase your confidence in the process. The historical source we're going to analyse in this example is a very famous photograph from the Great Depression. After doing some background research online, we were able to go through the 6 elements of IOP-CAM. Information. The image shows a mother and her children who are suffering economic hardship as a result of the Great Depression. Origin. The photograph was taken by someone called Dorothy Lang. Perspective. After some background research, we discovered that Dorothy Lang was an American photojournalist. Context. The photo was taken in March 1936, which was in the middle of the Great Depression in America. Audience. Lang took the photograph as part of her job working for the federal government's Resettlement Administration. However, we also discovered that her photographs were intended to be published in newspapers for the general public to see. Motive. The reason this photograph was taken was to raise public awareness of the economic toll of the Depression and the need for a solution. Now that we have answered each of the 6 questions, we can tie them all together and write a 2-sentence source analysis. Here is the result. The photograph by the American photojournalist Dorothy Lang shows the economic struggles caused by the Great Depression on a specific mother and her children. This image was taken in 1936 as part of a photographic campaign for the federal government's Resettlement Administration to raise public awareness through the publication of the photograph in newspapers across America.